Hello, children, again. Well, previously we studied simple interest, right? We saw previous lesson. It had an equation. The idea is that when you have some money and you want to invest it at a simple interest, after a certain period of time, you will withdraw the money with the interest. Okay. This is the same if you want to invest or they give you money or a loan. What is called a loan, or if you invest. Okay. Now there's another type of interest that is called compound interest. Okay. Here it says, with a loan where you are charged compound interest, the interest is added to the amount you owe at the regular intervals. So the amount you owe increases for the next period. Okay. And when you invest money for a fixed period, you can earn compound interest. In this case, the interest earned is added to the amount of each period. Okay. Then you earn interest on the amount plus the interest for the next period. Okay, the idea is in simple interest, you invest money, and for example, after 5 years, you withdraw the money with the interest. With the compound interest, you deposit, for example, certain money for 5 years, but at the first year, you have an interest. So you reinvest the money you had at first and with this new interest. The second year, you will earn a new interest and you will reinvest the money with this new interest. Okay, so this is the idea. Reinvest 100 pesos at the rate of 10% compounded annually. How much money will she have after these 3 years? The principal in a simple interest formula is 100. This is the money you invest. Okay, so 10 pesos or dollars, the same, is the interest you gain. So after the first year, the amount of money that you have is 110. The second year, what you do, you reinvest that money. Okay, you reinvest that money, so you have a new interest, and now the money increases. The money you have, the principal plus the interest. The third year, sorry, you reinvest that money. Okay, so you have a new interest, and the amount of money you have is the principal plus the interest. Okay, so the idea is that after each year you reinvest the money. So at the end you have more money in a compound annual interest than in a simple interest. Okay, let's say that a compound interest is made of made up of simple interests. Okay, so that after certain period of time you reinvest that money. This is a table and graph that compared two values of 100 pesos investment. Okay, the first is invested at 10% simple interest and the second at 10% compound interest. The first year you have 110 pesos. Okay, they have the same. The second year you have 120 and 121 for the compound annually. So the idea is that at the end, with the simple interest, you have, after 10 years, you have 200 pesos. And if compounded annually, after 10 years, you will have 259.37 cents. Okay? You can see it in these charts. The compound interest increases more rapidly than the simple interest. So after 10 years, you will have more money than if you had invested it in a simple interest. Another chart is this one. The principal is the money that you have. Let's say, for example, that you don't invest any money, you just have 1,000 pesos. Then after all these years, you will only have 1,000 pesos, okay, because you didn't invest it. Let's say, for example, at year zero, that you have 1,000 pesos and you invest in a simple interest, that means that interest not compounding. So by the end of the 20 years, you will have 3,000 pesos. But if you invest the money with a compound interest, then when you start with 1,000 pesos, at the end of 20 years, you have something like 7,000 pesos. Okay, so that's the difference with an interest that is non-compounding. This is a simple interest, and a compound interest. The compound interest generates more money. So if you have the option to invest in a simple interest or a compound interest, if they have the same interest, the same rate, then it's better to invested in a compound interest, okay? So this is the formula for compound interest. The value that you have is the principal, the amount you invested, 1 plus the percentage of the rate in interest divided 100, and n is the number of years of compound interest. This is important. The formula says that n is the number of years, but actually n is the period of time at which the rate is, the percentage rate is determined. For example, if you have an interest rate mensually each month, then n will be the number of months. Okay. For example, if you have this formula B for R be 12% per month, then n you wouldn't put 2 years or 3 years. If you want to consider 1 year, you will put 12 months. Okay. So this is important. This is very, very, very important. R is the percentage rate interest and it's given in a certain period of time. N is the period of time that is related with that interest rate. Okay, so let's think of an example. Okay, so you have this formula. Let's say for a moment that R represents 2% per month. Okay, per month. So N is not going to be a number that represents years. Okay, it has to be a number that represents month. For example, if you want to consider a value for 2% month after 2 years, then the value of n will have to be the number of months inside those 2 years. That number is 24. Okay, if you were to have a rate 10% annually, then n will have to mean years. For example, 2 years. But this is important. And the value of n is a number, integer numbers higher than 0, okay, that represent the time period of the interest rate. Okay, if the interest rate is a percentage per month, then n has to be information given in month. And if r is a percentage annually, then n has to represent years. Okay, this is important. Let's see what else. Okay, here you have some exercises, okay, of compound interest, 17.6. Try to do them, okay, do them all in class, in groups, okay. Also, I copy some exercises that are from previous IG exams, and also try to do them, okay. All these exercises that are from previous IG. Also, when you have to use the formula, when you have this formula, they can ask you a question about any of these variables, okay? For example, they might ask you about the value of n, which is the value of n, or which is the value of p, or which is the value of b, okay? They can ask you about any of these variables. Remember that when you want to determine the value of n, since this is a power, you have to, when you want to solve it, you convert it as a root, okay? For example, let's say you have 25 equals 5n. You have to think, well, which is the number n that after I do 5 to the power of that value is 25, and n equals 2. If you want to discover the value of r, then this and has to go to the other side as a root. Well, okay, that's it. Start working. Good luck.